Hello and welcome back to the Demis Hellen channel. This is the first of the Arpeggio videos in 2024. So we're going to start by using Diva, and if you're a Diva owner, this is going to be great for you, but we will be going back to Vital at some point so you can follow along easily at home and copy the preset. But if you're a Diva owner, this one is for you today. So we're going to create the arpeggio and we're going to create the preset in this particular video, and I'm going to show you how to turn 4 simple basic notes in the A minor scale into a nice sounding arpeggio. So here we are, we've got a brand new instance of the Diva plugin here. Just reset this by right clicking and in it. And we're going to be using the digital oscillator. We're going to be using the digital envelopes, and the filter we're going to be using Cascade. And also just on this section here, I'm going to put the high pass frequency post just to clean the lows out, and we can obviously choose how much of that we want, but we're just going to keep it 0 just to tidy up a smidge. So the sound that we've got now, if we open up the filter, a nice little saw wave. So we've got 2 oscillators. It's currently set to mixing both. I'm just going to turn this to the left so we only deal with the first one. We've got super saw selected, and I'm going to bring up the multi all the way to full. So that's mixing all of the detune voices. And then I'm going to increase the detune a little bit as well to just get a bit of a thicker texture. Somewhere about there will do just fine. Okay. And then we want to shape the envelope. So the first one, I'm happy where it is. That's where I want it, full sustain. So when you hold the note, it'll just hold for as long as you need it to hold. And then envelope 2 is shaping the filter, and you can see it feeds in here to the cutoff by default. So I'm going to turn this up till we get sort of the brightness coming through. So that's a bit too bright. Just back it off a little bit to about there, and then we can shape the actual envelope. So I'm going to bring the sustain down nearly to 0, and then I'm going to sharpen the decay. So that'll do for now. I'm going to add a little bit of resonance to taste, maybe the first notch. Let's just turn this up so you can hear it a bit better. So we're starting to get that more classic super saw sound now. So that is nicely set up. I'm going to open up the cutoff, and I'm just going to stick a little bit of reverb on just to give us some context on how this would sound. A bit more decay. Bring that way down. Very nice sound. And then if we cut that off a little bit, very, very nice. So we've got a nice classic sound. So leaving the filter open, that is the sound design done for now. We need some MIDI to sort of tune at this with now, so it'll make more sense than me just hitting keys on my keyboard. So we're going to work around the scale of A minor. So in that top left section, you can see A natural minor, and that is just a scale guide for you to visually see on screen that any keys in orange are not in the scale of A minor. A minor is just all white notes, A to A, so it makes it really easy to teach with, and it so happens that a lot of trance sort of hovers around that. So we're going to be using on this, if we just zoom in onto this section, we're just going to start on A2. Works for me. And what we're going to do is have this particular chord, which is A minor, A, C, and E, a standard triad. So from this point, we want to make the basic running pattern that we have. So I'm going to bring these over. So we're leaving a gap between each one, and it's going in an upwards motion. And then each gap here, I'm just going to fill like that with an A. So the pattern is correct in that terms, but we're going to remove that A, and we're going to shift it so the actual melody starts here, the higher portion, and then the bass notes follow. Okay, and then we're going to copy those across for 2 bars. And you can see it overlaps into bar 3, so we can just delete everything that goes over that bar. So zooming back in, we want to just tweak this up now. So we want to use the notes in the scale of A minor, but we want to extend how this looks. That's a classic sort of upwards arpeggio that you could expect. So I'm going to delete these, and we're going to make the variation of this, which I've used in that intro demo. And we're going to start with a B and a C, and then an E and an F, like that. So we've got the gaps between each one. If they were laid out on the same channel, on the same note, it'd look like that. So we're just alternating 16ths. So we want B, C, E, F as our main notes, and one more A. Okay, so we can copy those across, so we get one bar, well, 2 bars very nicely. And we're keeping it very simple in this one. It's going to be a lot easier to create. Just looking for my instance of Diva. She's here. We're just going to bring the cutoff now down a little bit. We're getting that sound. Now we can copy that over and copy it over again and copy it over again. So we get 8 bars in total. Then we need to edit the bass. So every bar, we're going to change it. So it's going to go down to F, down to D, and it can hold. And then down to F, and finally back down to D. So that is our basic sort of building blocks. So I want them to be a bit closer together, so I'm going to up this 1 octave. So it sounds a little bit tighter on the syncopation. Okay, so going back to this, we are going to just make some amendments on here. And on the amplifier and pan section, I'm going to change this to stack index. And what this is going to do is alter the 8 voices that are happening with this particular setup. And we know it's 8 voices for this one, because if we go to the trimmer section, you can see here we've got voices and stacks. We've got 1 stack at the moment and 8 voices. What it's going to do is just help separate it out a little bit. Obviously, it's just going to pan to the left and right in this current state. But what we can do is if we just return that to 0 and just knock it up a notch, go back to our trimmers. Let's do a 2 voice stack. Now we can hear that we get a separation of the voices and making them wider, making the whole thing sound wider. So the JP8000s, the 8080s, didn't have any more than 8 voices, but being able to stack and sort of bring it into the modern era, we can now have 16 voices essentially, but then we can use the stack index to sort of really push out the width and just give us a nice wide sound. We have that with the JP. We can brighten the sound up with the, if I remember what it's called, the chorus level. We can obviously extend the brightness, but the chorus doesn't do exactly the same for me in the Diva plugin. So using the stack index gets a very similar result. So that's with stack index. That's with the stacking on, but down the center. So you still get that narrow band sound. There's no width to it, or very little. So I'm going to bring it about there. That sounds about right for me. So with that done, let's just jump into the MIDI and make some adjustments to the bass. I think we're going to have some sort of resolve like this, where it sort of brings it back up to bring it here to sort of make this bit sound different. But we can experiment with these. Doesn't have to be exactly like it was in the demo. You can experiment with the bass positions, even the key if you wanted to. And just to simply and quickly explain, if you want to change the key, we can say, oh, we want it in F sharp minor. We can just make sure the bass note, which is A at the moment, goes on to F sharp minor, and that is F sharp minor. Obviously it's not A minor, that's why we're getting these notes, but if we change that to, where's our F sharp minor, you can see that is in the right key, but we're working in A minor, so that is just a quick way of understanding how you can change your key. So you can see, just adjusting a couple of things there, we can make a different feel to it. Doing things like this, where we sort of change the bass just for a brief moment, just for a beat or so, it emphasizes the rhythm and how far away these notes are, and then makes this note sound sort of more disjointed. If we listen to this sequence, you can hear they're starting to get further apart, but when you emphasize it here with that going into that, that makes it sound like a little bit more distant from these notes, which emphasizes the sort of notes that are offbeat. Quite smooth but noticeable. Whereas that one, you can hear it's going, you're picking up on that rhythm on the bottom. So that can be mitigated with using the velocity sensitivity and the keyboard tracking here in Diva, or any synth that you're choosing to follow in. You can use these and the keyboard tracking to sort of de-emphasize those bass notes and prioritize the higher notes, so it doesn't become as obvious in there. So let me give you a quick demonstration of this. If we have the filter closed, can you hear how the top notes get brighter? Because it's prioritizing the higher notes to open the filter more, and the lower notes are being prioritized less, so they're quieter. And we can further emphasize this on the actual envelopes here. So it just takes the focus off there, but obviously when the filter's open, they're equal. So there is a couple of ways that you can mitigate that on there. We have got a completed sound. You can see in this one in the demo, I didn't do this drop here from C. So I'm going to keep it like this and then rise that back up to G. And you can see we've got our complete sequence. What I'm going to do is zoom in and just shorten these off a little bit. I've turned off the quantize. J for Cubase users, it'll be different for you in your DAW, just so we've got a bit of gap between each note. And that's why I was saying the sustain didn't matter, because I knew I was going to have shorter notes, and then that goes hand in hand with the shorter envelope shape here for the cutoff. So this dry wet, I'm just going to turn down the dampening a bit more. Add a bit of chorus now. So there we are, we have the MIDI and the Diva preset. If you do enjoy this format, let me know to see if I'm going to be doing more of this style of the arpeggio, because we are going to run out of ideas at some point, so we need to sort of rejig this up, and any ideas will be welcome. And if you're a patron, you'll get these sort of like advanced videos, all the extra content, but you'll have the ability to vote as well for when I say what synth to use and what key to use and all that good stuff. So if you want to be part of that, you can join the Patreon as well. And with that said, thank you very much for watching. I will look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Take care.